So one of the first dilemmas that we face when putting together a budget is determining budget categories. In this video, I'm going to help with that by going over some of the changes that I've made to my own budget categories coming into 2021. And then right after that, I'll go over my current budget for this pay period. You just got to get started. Welcome to my channel. I'm Harlan D. White, and on my channel, I'm documenting my journey of eliminating almost $50,000 in debt, and each week I'm sharing lessons learned along the way. And if you're interested in my debt-free journey update, I'll have that at the end of this video. All right, so when it comes to budget categories, it's very individualistic, and definitely don't let it hold you up in terms of getting started putting together a budget. Everyone's budget categories are most likely going to be slightly different. And as you continue to budget longer and longer, you'll be able to adjust your budget categories to what works best for you. And so in this video, like I said, I'm going to show you how I had my budget categories set up for last year. And then I'll jump in and I'll show you how I changed that up for 2021. And if you're new to my channel, the tool that I use to help me with budgeting and tracking of my spending is called YNAB, or You Need a Budget. And so that's the tool that you'll see in this video. Okay, so last year I had 7 primary categories. So one of my categories was monthly obligations. Now, in my monthly obligation category, this is where I put items that had specific due dates throughout the month. And primarily what I would do in this category, I'll list the date that it was due. I'd put whether or not it was an auto payment or not, and if it was an auto payment, which account that it was coming out of. Additionally, I went through, and if it was due on the 1st, that was at the top of the list. If it was due on the 25th, that was going to be towards the bottom of the list. And so that helped me to keep track of when payments were coming out throughout the month. The second budget category that I had was debt payments. And really, this was just a catch-all for money that I was going to put towards paying off debt. The third category was giving, and pretty self-explanatory. That's where I budgeted towards planned giving. The fourth budget category was savings, and again, pretty self-explanatory. That's where I budgeted how much I was going to put towards savings within a given pay period. All right, the fifth budget category was monthly expenses. Now, these are expenses that I planned on spending money on each and every single month. So it would cover things like food, it would cover things like gas, it'll cover things like personal care items like deodorant, things like that. My sixth budget category was called quality of life goals. I got the name from YNAB, but it was essentially things that I did not necessarily purchase each and every single month. So I had things like health and wellness items or clothing, things like that. And the seventh budget category that I had was called True Expenses, another category name that I got from YNAB. And these are items that you know are coming up in the future, but not necessarily every month. So these could be things like insurance premiums. If you know that you pay it 2 times a year, each month you can set aside some money to put towards that insurance premium because you know it's coming up. Or it could be annual subscriptions. It could be saving up for Christmas and things like that. So for me, that was my 7 budget categories that I primarily used the majority of last year. And now let's jump into how I've changed that. All right, so here's the list of my new categories. And as you can tell, it jumped up pretty dramatically from 7 categories to 19 categories. The primary reason that this happened is because I wanted to be more granular on some of the items that were previously in my monthly obligations and monthly expenses. So real quickly, I'll walk you through my new categories. All right, so I still have a category for giving. I still have a category for savings. And I created a new category called FIRE, or Financial Independence, Retire Early. Essentially, this is a investing category. I have a separate category for housing expenses, food and debt, family, education, and personal items, utilities, insurance, professional services, healthcare, fitness, transportation, and content creation. Again, this was a new category for me that essentially covers how much I'm spending towards YouTube or my other social media. And the last 3 budget categories that I have are for annual expenses, pets, and miscellaneous. And I just added the pets category because I have a desire to get a dog later this year. All right, and so that is the update for my budget categories. I pretty much went from 7 categories to 19. And I'm going to see how it goes. If down the road I don't like it, then I can always change it. So next, I will jump into my actual budget for this pay period. All right, so now I'm going to walk through my budget for this particular pay period. I do a budget each and every time I get paid, and right now I have $2,534.66 to budget for this particular pay period. To help me out, I also have my budget template up, and so I'm essentially just going to copy the numbers into my YNAB app. And so I'm actually on the web version of it, and the first area that I'm giving to for this particular pay period goes to charity. One of my goals for this year is to actually each month increase how much I give to charity. So by the October timeframe, I want to give at least 10% of my gross income, and so that's one of my financial goals for this particular year. The next category I'm going to fund is I'm adding another $100 to my emergency fund. Next is rent. And the next categories that I will fund is my food categories. Eating out, there's $50 going there. Towards alcohol, so this is something new for this year that I've broke out specifically so I can just track how much I'm spending on that. $25. And then groceries is $25. And the cool thing, as you can see over here in the far right column, this, when I look at the app before I go to the store to make any purchases, I can see how much money I have left for that particular category. So that's one of the reasons I really do like the YNAB app. All right, the next category that I'm going to fund is my debt categories. So there's an additional $100 I'm going to put towards my IRS payment. As of now, I automatically have $800 coming out each 14th of the month, the 14th of each month. And then, like I said, I try to add to that amount whenever possible. Additionally, I have $500 coming out for credit card number 3, or that I'm going to pay towards credit card number 3. All right, and then the next category that I'm going to fund is my family category. There's $850 going there. And then trips category. So I set this up to start saving money for trips that I take either up to Illinois to see the kids or them to come down to see me. And so pretty much what I did was I went through all my budget and then I threw the extra money that I had into the trips category. All right, next is Audible. So that's going to come out. So add $14.95. And then in my books category, another $10. So I also have some personal goals to read through a few books each month, and so I'm going to fund that. Next is my household category. So that is going to get $20. Personal care category, $20. And then apps is $25. I already know that I have a subscription, an annual subscription that I'm going to pay for my security for my new laptop, and so that's what that is. All right, and then for my internet, there's $66.72 coming out for that. And then I'm going to jump down to my gas category and put aside $20 for that. I'm not sure if I'll actually need to get any gas between my next paycheck, but just in case. And then we get to my content creation category. So I know this one is coming out $56.30, and my VRA is $97, and then Epidemic Sound is $15. And then as you can see up here, the total amount that I have to budget remaining is $62. And I'm putting that in my miscellaneous category because that is an amount that I let someone borrow. And so we'll see if I get it back or not. But I know the exact amount, so I'm just gonna put it into the miscellaneous category. If I get it back, then I'll allocate the $62 towards another budget category. So that is pretty much it. That is my budget for this particular pay period. All right, so here's my debt-free journey update and where I stand. As you just saw in my budgeting section, I put $600 towards debt this particular pay period, and $9 is something like that went towards penalties and fees to the IRS. All right, so when it comes to my strategy to knock out the remaining debt, my primary focus is on knocking out the federal tax debt because that's the only debt that I have that I am getting penalized for each and every single month. And so any extra money that I get goes towards knocking out that debt first and foremost. Next is my credit card number 3, where right now I have minimum payments of $500 a month going towards that particular debt. My credit card number 2, I'm not paying anything on that at this particular point in time. And then my other outstanding debts are my 401k loans. And right now I have small amounts that come out of each one of my paychecks that goes towards lowering that specific debt. And as you can see, my remaining outstanding debt is $20,908. I'm closely approaching under $20,000 in debt, and I'm getting pretty excited about that. And as you can see, since May of 2020, I've been able to reduce my debt by almost $29,000. All right, and so that is my debt-free journey update. I'm excited with the progress. I'm gonna continue to chip away at the debt. I do have a New Year's resolution goal to be completely debt-free by the end of the year, and I fully intend on still hitting that goal. All right, so that's the video. Hopefully you found something you can take away and apply to your own budget or debt-free journey. If you like the video, please go ahead and like the video. Helps me out a lot. And also consider subscribing and hitting that notifications bell if you want to be notified of future videos. Until next time. In this video, I'm going to help with that by going through some of the changes that I've made coming into 2021. Welcome to my channel. I'm Harlan D. White, and on my channel, I'm documenting my journey of eliminating almost $50,000 in debt